Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections. Now as you can see, sitting behind us is our brand new 2025 all new Camry. And what we're going to be doing in today's video is discussing the top 5 things that you need to know before you end up buying one of these Toyota Camrys. Let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to want to know before you buy is which trim level is best for you, which one is the best value in the lineup. So let's go through some core features. First of all, up here in the front, you're going to notice that we have a body color grille. This is exclusive to the XSE trim level. So if you don't like that, you don't have to get it. You can get a black one instead. The other thing I want to point out is that LED lighting is standard on every single Camry, but you do get a premium arrangement if you choose one of the X trim levels. Now, depending on your preference between ride comfort and design, you have the option of getting 16-inch alloys all the way up to these 19-inch alloys on the XSE. This is certainly the most flashy design, but like I said, you can get smaller options. Another thing that families are certainly going to be interested in is safety systems. So let's talk a little bit about that. Blind spot monitoring is going to be included as a standard feature for 2025. You also have standard all your other active safety features, so that's lane keeping assist. You have forward emergency braking, adaptive cruise control as well, and you can even get an optional traffic jam assist function. Now, as far as design in the rear, one thing I do want to point out is we have black badges on this model. These are available as an extra cost option on any of the trim levels if you like that element. We also have the blacked out spoiler with the XSE, and we have the optional two-tone roof, which you don't have to get, but if you like this design, you can pair this with a few different exterior colors. Now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who's going to go over some of the must-have features of the interior. Yeah, so like Drew said, I'm going to go over the main interior features that you'll be wanting in your Camry. I do want to point out a fob is standard on all versions, but Smart Entry is not. So if you want to just be able to grab behind the door handle and unlock it, you do have to choose an X trim level or option it on to the lower models. Now, you also really will be curious about the seating materials. Now, all but the very base LE will come with some form of faux leather. The SE is going to have a Softex, and if you choose for the X trims, that's going to get you a real leather seat. However, I'm very happy to tell you that all but the very base LE will also have a 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. So you're going to have that power ability on the vast majority of models. And I do want to point out, by the way, if you don't like the red interior, you don't have to get it. This is actually the only trim level that can get the red interior. But I do want to point out the seat functions as well. We have heated seats, which will be included on most Camry versions. Ventilated seats, though, are optional even on the X trim. So you have to go to a very high trim level and option it on if you want ventilated seats. Now, I do want to point out for your technology, that's something a lot of families are looking for now. We do have a digital gauge cluster on the X trim levels. And then we also have this large 12.3-inch main infotainment screen also on the X trim level. So that's XSE and XLE. Now, the other versions will have a smaller 8-inch display, but you're still going to keep wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which is something I know a lot of you guys are looking for. Now, as far as other things, we do have a standard backup camera. You can get a 360, but once again, that's optional on the X trim. So kind of a high-end Camry is going to be the only way that you're going to get that functionality. Now, for your audio system, for those of you that really enjoy audio, 6-speaker system is standard on every version of the Camry. However, you can get a JBL on your higher-end models, and you can also option on stuff like this panoramic moonroof, which we have chosen for this XSE. So all that being said, what is the best value trim of the Camry lineup? Well, what we think is the SE with an option package or 2 on it. The SE can, pretty much go well into the $30,000 range, about $35,000 if you add all the options. So we'd say an SE with just an option package or 2. Or if you're kind of a person that wants a little bit more luxury and those types of things, you will get a lot of standard features if you just choose the base XSE or XLE, depending on your styling preferences.
Now, the second important thing you need to know about this next generation Camry is that it is
hybrid exclusive. That's right, there's no longer a regular 4-cylinder engine, there's no longer a V6. Everybody is going to get the hybrid. This is the 5th generation Toyota hybrid system, which is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with electric motors, making either 225 horsepower or 232 horsepower if you choose all-wheel drive. Now that's right, you can get all-wheel drive on this new Camry, and you can get that across the entire lineup of trim levels as well if that's something that you need. Now, some of you guys might not like that you're locked into getting a hybrid, but Toyota's battery warranty is very long, and the second thing is that you're locked into getting great fuel economy, as high as 51 mpg combined if you choose the LE front-wheel drive model. This model here is a front-wheel drive XSE, and this gets 47 mpg combined.
If you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars. Now, the third thing you'll need to know before looking to buy a Camry is how much practicality you need. Now, a lot of buyers nowadays are exclusively looking at SUVs because they need a lot of space, but you're also going to find a lot of space in this Camry. So, for instance, compare it to a RAV4, you have actually more legroom in the Camry. You're going to have very similar headroom figures, so the rear seat area is going to be very similar. However, the main difference would, of course, be in your cargo capacity. We're going to have a really good cargo capacity for a sedan. As you can see, there's tons of room back here, but it's not going to be quite as good as something like a RAV4, which comes in at about 69 cubic feet. But, you know, you do get some benefits for driving a sedan over an SUV, so definitely weigh the practicality elements and how much space you actually need.
The fourth thing you need to consider is what kind of technology do you want inside your vehicle, because you can customize the Camry pretty good. As far as our gauge cluster, all of them are going to be partially digitized this year, but if you want the full 12.3-inch reconfigurable gauge cluster, you do need to get an X trim level. Also, if you want the head-up display, that's an available option on the X trim levels as well. The other big upgrade for the new generation is the fact that we have the large 12.3-inch infotainment display also on the X trim levels. So if you want the bigger display, you will have to choose those trims. Regardless though, even if you get a lower trim, you're still going to get at least an 8-inch display, and both of those will have standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which run wirelessly. Speaking of wirelessly, a cool standard feature on the next generation Camry is that all models will come with the wireless phone charging pad.
And the fifth and final thing that you need to know before buying an all-new Camry is your numbers. We would recommend you really know your numbers. And by that I mean don't pay a markup for this Camry. As of July 1st, which is right now, so the beginning of July, there are over 5,500 listings for this all-new 2025 Camry. So they're not super rare. They are building plenty of them, which does mean that dealer inventory should go to relatively normal levels and you shouldn't be paying a huge markup. Now, we've seen this comment a ton of times, especially for Toyota products where everything is marked up. Shop around. Go to different dealerships and see which ones are not charging a markup. For instance, we did not pay a markup for this Camry. Toyota South gave it to us for MSRP. So definitely know your numbers and know what it's worth. Now, of course, this is just one of the first videos that we're going to be making about this new Camry. And if you're at all interested in buying one of these Camrys, you'll want to follow along for our ownership experience. We've only had it for a little over a week at this point, and we're still learning things about it all the time, and we'll be keeping you guys updated with all the latest content that you're going to want to see, including fuel economy tests, night content, as well as anything else you can imagine. So do yourself a favor, subscribe down below, and go ahead and join in on this Car Confections family. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, because you do make this all possible, and we truly appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.